It's the end of week 6, so let's take a look at Sunday's action across the NBA. We had Jalen Johnson, we had Jaylen Brown, we had Tyson, we had Jalen Wells. We had other things that weren't Jalen's, but they're the main things. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and the main feature of a bloomin' onion is allegedly bacterial overgrowth. You know, bloom. Flora, and just everywhere. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, we're available on all platforms, and we are part of the number one sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network. We're here to talk about Sunday's games at the end of the show. Unless I forget, which I shouldn't, I will recap my results in my leagues as I do on each Sunday show. There were 8 games for us to talk about. We might as well bang into these pretty quickly here. Because there's going to be stuff to talk about as there is on every day. But yeah, we've got 8 games. We did a waiver wire show earlier today as well, so I don't need to go through waiver wire trends. Let's start with the early one. The Houston Rockets and the Utah Jazz. Easy victory in the end, this one for Houston, 129-101. And we got an answer to a question that we've been wanting an answer to for a while. And that is, when Kevin Durant comes back, is Reed Sheppard going to start? Or are we going to continue this stupidity of Steven Adams and Josh Okogie? The answer is the stupidity did not continue, and Reed Sheppard did start. Sheppard played 31 minutes. He had 9, 6, and 4, which is mediocre. It's not bad, but it's mediocre. 4 steals and 2 blocks, though. And as much as it's easy to look at a guy that looks like Reed Sheppard and is the same size as Reed Sheppard and go, nah, I don't think so. The defense is fake. It's not. He just does this all the time. He did it in college. He did it in Summer League. He did it in the G League. He did it as a rookie. He does it now. He just gets steals and blocks. He's a must-roster player. Kevin Durant doesn't normally get steals, but he got 3 of them here. This was a very, very bad game from Utah. They were just turning it over all over the shop. We'll talk about that in a sec. 71% shooting from Durant, 25, 6, and 4 with 3 steals. And Steve Adams just dropped a casual double-double in 17 minutes. Do not expect that from him. Şengün was good, 27, 4, and 5. But I know the thing that you want to hear about is what is going on with Amen Thompson. He had 5 points. He had 1 steal and no blocks. He shot 25% from the field and 33% from the line. He did have 8 rebounds and 9 assists, but if you want to be negative about him, man, you ignore those. You don't talk about those. You just talk about the negatives. And I get it. He has not lived up to what we thought he could do, which was a mid to late second round player, especially when Fred VanVleet went down. But a lot of the things we thought the men would do, have happened. Minutes up, usage up, assist rate up. He hits his free throws now. Apart from today, he's at like 78%, I think, from the line. The things that have killed Amen Thompson and the value that we thought he might return this season are 2 things. He doesn't block shots anymore. His block numbers are like a third of what it was last season. Yet, he still contests slightly fewer shots, but not many. It's like 1 fewer shot per possession, or per 100 possessions. And it's like 0.5 fewer shots per rim. At the rim per like 100 possessions. It's not much. He just doesn't block them anymore. And his 44% shooting on short mid-ranges, according to Data Baller, from last season is now 31%. His rim finishing is also down. And I don't know that any of that stuff has to do with the fact that he is the starting point guard now. The blocks, maybe. But why does he not finish at the rim as well? Is it to do with more self-created shots? It's possible. But they're the things. He's not hitting mid-ranges, and he's not blocking shots. The rest of the stuff is pretty okay, but it is annoying. It is disappointing. I'm not denying that. Jabari Smith had 15 points with 2 threes. What do you do with the men, though? Like, back to that. Like, I don't know why I just pivoted off that. What do you do with the men? Nothing. Like, what can you do? I think that given what we saw today from Amen Thompson, which clearly was not very good, and his people that manage him don't love this, you try to buy low. But also, there is a huge overreaction that happens. I saw people overreacting. Man, a lot of turnovers. Yeah, a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. I think you take that every day, yeah? He had 9 assists, he had 8 rebounds. That's still pretty good. Steals, you want more, right? We obviously want more. But I don't know. I think that when you get to tipping point mode where people start to really express frustrations, then you could maybe deal in with a buy low situation. Not much else on the Rockets side of things. There was no Tari Eason. Of course, still no Dorian Finney-Smith. But what about the Utah side? Lowry Markkanen, 18-8. Cool, good stuff. But this was a blowout incredibly early. We'll talk about the good. Yusuf Nurkic had 14, 6, and 9. You go, man, that's great. He played 19 minutes. This could have been an absolutely monster game from Nurk. I believe Nurkic is a must-roster player. Literally nothing in this game dissuades me, and I've talked about it, how we talk about, well, the idea is that Nurk just kills your percentages. His field goal percentage is fine. 86% in this game. And it's been fine for weeks. He is a must-roster player. The guy that I said, well, I'm convinced now, he is a star. I can't believe it, but he is just a star. It's Keyonte George. So today, Keyonte had 0 points. He missed all 6 of his shots. He had 8 turnovers with 2 assists. He had 1 rebound. I don't think you get a worse game than that ever. One of the worst games ever, of all time. I will give him grace. A, he has been dominating. B, he was sick. He was literally ill and questionable before the game. And he played 19 minutes here. He might not play tomorrow. I would say there's a chance he does not play tomorrow, but I also would not use this as any sort of indication or referendum on what George is going to do as we move forward. What is very interesting to me is that with Keyonte George putting together one of the worst games you will ever see, Isaiah Collier did nothing. 2 points, 4 assists, 17 minutes. And yeah, there's a blowout factor, but if you can't even do that when George is doing this, why would you bother? I don't know why you would bother rostering him.
Get that garbage out of here!
Ace Bailey played 31 minutes. Now he got some garbage time minutes there. He played the entirety of the fourth quarter just to get some extra run. He had 19, 2 and 1, no defense. That doesn't move me. If you want to roster him, go for it and hold him. I don't think it's necessary, honestly. While Bryce Sensabaugh had another solid scoring game, 10 in 24 with 2 steals. And Cody Williams is back out of the rotation, and Walter Clayton is back in. We also got 31 minutes from Kyle Filipowski. He shot horribly. He had 12, 8, and 4. The 31 minutes is great because it's blowout stuff. It's garbage time. I don't think the Filipowski needs to be rostered for 12-team formats at this point because he's just not doing anything good most of the time. The next game was one of a handful of really strong and really good games that we had on Sunday as the Boston Celtics knocked off the Cavs 117-115. Both teams banged up. No maximum Derek White for Boston. No Neemias Queta. And they went with a lineup. This is the sneaky Joe Mazzulla problem. I never in a million years thought that losing Derek White would mean that Sam Hauser would start. I never in a million years thought that Neemias Queta being out means that Xavier T. Illman would start. Last time it was Luka Garza. They could go with Chris Boucher. But then we dusted off Tillman. And not only did we dust off Xavier Tillman, he played 30 minutes. Sure. Whatever. 9 and 6 with 3 steals and a block. I don't care. Because even if Queta misses the next game, which he won't, this was just a back-to-back rest. Even if Queta was to miss another game, why would Tillman start? It could be Garza. It could be Boucher. I've got no idea. They both got DMPs in this game. Josh Minott played only 13 minutes and was scoreless. Really disappointing drop from him. With White out, Hauser started, but played 35 minutes. It's great. It's 7 points. So nothing really to see there. The guy that absolutely cooked was Peyton Pritchard. 42 points with 6 threes and 3 assists. He shot 68%. The volume was way up. Just a monster game. We know that he was slow to begin the year. He's playing really well now. And you would hope that with White out, it would give an extra opportunity for Anfernee, just so my dictation or translation software gets this, transcribing software gets this, Anfernee Simons, not Anthony. You think that Simons could do something? 27 minutes, 18 points. It's one of those ones you go, 18, we're good. 18, it's a big number. It's bigger than 10. I love it. 1 rebound, 2 assists and a steal. He hit 2 threes. And remember, 18 points is average. So overall, bad. Just not a good game from a player who's provided no value all season, yet is still rostered, according to our numbers on Basketball Monster, in 84% of 12-team leagues. And I would suggest that 84% of you are doing it wrong. Why are you holding him? Please, in the comments, in the live chat, tweet it at me, in the Spotify comments. If you have Anfernee Simons, A, full panel of your illnesses, diseases, conditions, and syndromes. And secondly, why? Why are you holding him? What's the point? I don't get it. Jaylen Brown, triple-double, 19, 12, and 11. But as has been the case a lot with Jaylen, just loves the fire hose on the percentages. 23 from the field and 75 from the line on 16 attempts. That hurts. On a positive note, though, Geordie Walsh, 38 minutes. Now, he might play 20 in the next one or 24 in the next one. I don't know. He had a 14-11 double-double with 2 steals and 1 block. It does help that White and Cater are out. We talked about him as a good stream option for today. That's great. Not rushing to add him outside of those stream scenarios. We should talk about the Cavs side of it now, and we will, because they came into this game with, of course, as they seem to every game, guys out. No Jarrett Allen, who's out for a week. No Sam Merrill. No Lonzo Ball, who's resting, and Larry Nance is out for multiple weeks. So with the absence of Allen, Jalen Tyson is back in the mix as a starter. 34 minutes, 17 and 5, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 5 threes, must grab. Must grab. Evan Mobley, who also was making fantasy managers incredibly upset, is now a top 20 player over the last 5 games. He had 27 and 14 with 3 threes and 4 assists and has decided he's hitting free throws again. I guess we're good, at least for now. Donnie Mitchell, 18, 7 and 8 with 3 steals, and Garlow had 21, 3 and 8. Good games from all those guys. It wasn't a good one from DeAndre Hunter. He sucked. 8 points for him in 27 minutes with 2 threes. But in the next game, does Garland play? I'm not sure. But Lonzo will just come in and step into that role. I'm guessing Lonzo becomes maybe a stream guy for Monday. What we also saw is Naquan Tomlin play 22 minutes for deeper leagues, for double onyxers. Tomlin is going to be one of the guys that you can look at with Nance out and Allen out, of course. With both those guys out, there is opportunities for him, and it was not Tom Bryant. But Jalen Tyson seems to be the big winner in that particular case. We've got more games to talk about, 6 more of them today's episode, though. It is brought to you by Prize Picks. The holiday season is one of the best time for sports. You've got bowl games, you've got college basketball, you've got NBA basketball, you've got NFL playoffs and playoff pushes coming. And Prize Picks is great because you're all making choices every day, but one of the most fun places to make the right call, some might say the funnest, is on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get into daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock it into your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, it's fast, and it's available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Creating a lineup takes less than a minute, and it is so easy and smooth and intuitive. Well, you haven't even bothered by any sort of issues with it. It's so straightforward. Plus, their stacks feature now enables you to use up to 3 individual stats from a single player. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The code is LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Okay, we're doing a recap. We're talking about games from Sunday. Now we can go talk about our Toronto Raptors. They'd been flying, and then they had a bad loss the other day. And is it the beginning of the end? Probably yes. Is it time to break open our Canadian heads and eat the goo inside? Maybe, because they lost again to the Knicks, 116-94. Is the final score here in this one. There was no Jakob Poeltl, second night of a back-to-back, but instead of going to Colin Murray-Boyles or Sandro Mamukelashvili, I think Darko may have overthought it because he decided to start Jamison Battle. I think he realised that he made a mistake because Jamison Battle played a grand total of 11 minutes for 4 points. Cool. They went small with Scott Barnes at centre. Now, Barnesy was great. 18, 5 and 4 with 4 threes, 1 steal and 2 blocks. But we're seeing this. The starters that they're replacing Barrett and Poeltl with, it's just sort of potluck. It was Walter, then it was Murray-Boyles, and it was Walter again in 30 minutes. Now Walter down to 21 minutes. Now Battle back in. Walter had 7 points. He had 2 blocks. That's nice. He's definitely not a must roster. Nor is Dick, who had 2 points in 18 minutes. And Shed had one of his better games, 5 assists with 4 steals in 17 minutes. But you can't trust any of it. You can't trust Murray-Boyles, who had 11 and 8. Now, if you did stream in Mamukelashvili, the numbers are okay. They're not great. 9 and 7, still 2 blocks. It's all right. He just shot poorly. We talked about him the other day saying a lot of his numbers were fueled by some shooting, which wasn't going to hold, and it hasn't. But he's at least a streamable guy when Poeltl is out. Nothing more than that. Ingram also really struggled. Mikal Bridges cooked him. He had 36% shooting, 57 from the line. For Ingram with 14, 1 and 4. He'd been good. He's been very good. That was not it. And then 19, 2 and 8 for Quickly. That can talk us, it can allow us to talk, maybe that's better, about the New York Knicks. Because this was, I think they've won 10 of their first 11 games at Madison Square Garden. And what we've seen is, despite the discussions in the preseason, despite the discussions that Josh Hart maybe tails off when he plays too many minutes, Josh Hart is starting again, and Josh Hart is playing too many minutes. And he's playing incredibly well. The Hitman played 35 minutes. Also, the fact that apparently he couldn't feel his hands And now 20 and 12, 7 assists, 3 steals, 4 threes. Shot 67%. He's on an absolute rocketing run at the moment. I didn't believe it. I didn't think that they'd start him and play him these big minutes again. I thought he'd be a nice 32-minute guy off the bench, and they'd really ease him in. But the absence of Anunoby and then the absence of Shamet opened it up, and he's cooking. And I'm not sure that in the foreseeable future, I'm not sure that Mitchie Robinson's going to get back into the lineup. Obviously, you can drop Mitch Robinson in the majority of spots.
Get that garbage out of here!
And you're really loving having Hart on your team. Bridges, 14, 2 and 3. He had Richie Beno, 2 threes, 2 steals, and 2 blocks, while Towns had 22 and 8. And Brunson had 18, 6 and 7 on some bad shooting numbers, but great from the line. What about Juice McBride? He has been starting in place of Shamet, and the numbers have been really good. 14 and 5 with 4 threes and 2 steals. I don't really fully believe it. And a lot of the other games had come together because he'd put together like 80% shooting nights, but he shot just 46 here and still was usable. He's at least a must-add in a 14-team league. And in 12s, I think there's a little bit of must-addness to what he's doing. The man on the street is a little wash, Jordan Clarkson, JORDANCLARKSON. He had 13 with 3 threes. He does nothing else, though, and even the shooting to that level is not a reliable thing. The next game, absolute cracker of a game. The Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers. It goes to double overtime. The Hawks win it 142-134. Still no Kristaps Porzingis, so they rolled out the same starting lineup. And the two guys who have really been feasting without Trae Young and then without Porzingis is Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jalen Johnson. They went off here. NAW played 44 minutes. He had 34, 8 and 7 with 6 threes, a steal and a block, elite field goals, elite free throws. Just an amazing run from him. Clear must-roster player. And Jalen Johnson looks just like a star. 41, 14 and 7 with 4 threes, a steal and a block. You would like that if he's taking 22 free throw attempts, yes, 22, that he wouldn't go 77% because that's like an average number. If you get to 82, then it's a real positive for you. 77 is not ideal. Like it can actually hurt your team, and that's the vagaries of that category. But he's just dominating this guy. He's going to be an all-star. I'm very certain of that. And with Porzingis out, we got 47 minutes of Onyeka Okongwu, who's been great this year. 10 and 13 with 6 assists. He didn't shoot well. It could have been a lot better, but that's a pretty good line. What else was good in this game? Dyson Daniels, if you're looking to sell high, you got to start doing it now. Trey's going to be back in a couple of weeks, but 17, 9, and 8 with 2 steals. You can look at this 2 ways. I look at it 1 way. You can look at it 2 ways. Pick a way. The Dyson has found his footing. He's taking his shots again. They're going in. It's all good. My thing is, cool, but when Trey's back, I don't think he will take those shots. The shooting can vary up and down anyway. Plus, he's going to lose a ton of assist opportunities. So while the idea of momentum is there, you can always talk yourself into that. I think it's a really clear sell high. I think his shot attempts are going to go down. I think his assists are going to go down. The shooting, up and down, whatever. But you've also got to make sure that Nickeil Alexander-Walker plays enough too, because he's awesome. What else is going on here? Speaking of awesome, Zachary Ricochet had 12 points in 30 minutes. What is this guy? What does he do? Again, much like when we asked the question earlier on about rostering, who was the player that I asked you to? Anfernee Simons, right? Why? Why is Zach Ricochet not as highly rostered as Simons? What are we doing? Absolutely no reason to be rostering him. He had a block, sick, like whatever. Deeper leagues, knock yourself out, man. Like that's cool. But this man is not even a top 200 player this season. So your league's got to be pretty bloody deep to be excited about what Ricochet is doing. And I'm just not. He's just doing nothing. And nothing about it when I see him and watch him and look at the numbers and all that stuff. I look at it and go, yeah, okay. But like, anything good going to pop out at all? It's just disappointing, man. What about the other side of it, though? Because we got a lot of interesting things. And it brings up a really interesting question here. Joel Embiid's been out for weeks with a different knee injury. And you're always worried about Embiid's knee. That's really bad, right? Andre Drummond has been cooking, putting up huge numbers, really important numbers. And then we saw the big fella have a knee injury and leave the game in a wheelchair. So, must add a Dembona. You got to go grab him, right? Now, we talked about this, or I talked about it, I don't know if it was on the show or on social media, I can't remember. Talking about, hey, if you're making a decision between J Huff and a Dembona, one of them, Bona, could be a third string center as soon as the next game, if those other two happen to play. Huff might get jerked around by Carlisle, but there's nobody else to come into the rotation. He could start all the way. And then this game, we had not only was Embiid miraculously back, but Drummond also didn't miss any time. Didn't miss a single game. So Dembona was the third string center. Until he wasn't. And that's where it gets interesting. Because you would have added Boner. You would have been cursing me or whoever told you to add him or whoever suggested it or even yourself going, why did I do this? He's not even playing. What a waste. But I believe in a scenario like that, with a Dem Boner like that, where you go, I don't know when Embiid is going to play, if he is going to play, and if he comes back, when it's going to be. And then you see Drummond leave in a bad-looking knee injury in a wheelchair. You go, well, that could be a long time. You have to grab Boner in the moment. You can't wait to say, well, what's the diagnosis? What's the lineup look like the next game? You can't wait. Because that's a top 40 player potentially sitting there. Now, it obviously didn't work, but then it started to work because Drummond, his knee, shockingly enough, was sore and he couldn't play in the second half. And then we went to double overtime, so Boner got to play the second overtime because Embiid couldn't play it. Let's talk about Boner. Yeah? Let's also talk about the Philadelphia 76ers center. He had 4 points only. That stinks. But he had 2 blocks. So while it did not work out in what your best case scenario was, the process behind adding a Dem Boner, I think, is impeccable. You have to do it in that scenario. And in the end, you did get rewarded with 2 blocks. Now, I would suggest that if Drummond's knee was sore today, that he's going to miss a couple more games. Meaning Boner's the backup. I will say this though. Embiid played 30 minutes. So if Embiid is playing 30 minutes, Boner is not useful for 12-team leagues. He's not. But I think having Boner and holding him just for now with the Drummond knee soreness cropping back up, Embiid's complete unreliability, you might just want to hold it. You might have to take an L for a couple of games. I wouldn't mind holding it just for those particular reasons. As for Embiid, he played 30 minutes. He had 18 and 4 steal and a block. Great. Love it. The dominatrix also returned, VJ Edgecombe. He only played 21 minutes. He was on a bit of a minutes limit. He didn't play very well. 7 points with 2 steals, and I'm getting very worried about him. Not only is Jared McCain playing better, but Quentin Grimes is cooking. And VJ is just, he's outside the top 100 for the year now. He's just not delivering. So I think if you're in shallows in 130 deep leagues, you should move on from him. In 156s, 12-teamers, it's very debatable. But what you also saw with Embiid back and with Edgecombe back, that Jared McCain, the usage wasn't there. And like we talked about in the waiver wire show today, if he's not popping him in at 50% from 3, what else are you doing? And the answer is nothing. 5 and 4 with 1 assist. I do not believe that Jared McCain should be rostered. I know that he was one of the most added players. I told you you shouldn't have done it. Couldn't have done it. You shouldn't do it. And, didn't work out. Paulie George got to 28 minutes. And if you've got Paul George, you love this. He only shot 35%. That's very bad, obviously. But 16, 7, and 4 with 5 steals, we are on. And Maxey was great. 52 minutes, 44, 7, and 9. I'll talk about Grimy. 47 minutes for Quentin, 28 and 10, 4 threes as he moved back to the bench with Edgecombe starting, but he got the bulk of the minutes. He's a better player than Edgecombe at this point. And it'd be interesting to see how they handle the McCain and Edgecombe and Grimes playing time in minutes, but he was very, very good here. The other one who benefited with Oubre out was Dom Barlow. 45 minutes for Dommy, 10 and 6, 3 steals and 2 blocks. Now, is that must roster? Some of you will say absolutely. I'm not really there on that. I think he's more of a 14-team league guy, a stream guy. Oubre might come back in a week or so, whatever, right? I just don't think that even if Barlow played 45 minutes a night, he won't. Or if he plays 30 minutes a night, will he be useful enough in most spots? I don't think so. Because I don't think Edgecombe's going to stay at 21. And if Edgecombe goes to 32 or 33, I think those minutes come off Barlow and Paul George plays the 4. That's how I think they'll handle that, which then would limit his overall value in that spot. But a really interesting game with a lot of interesting things that developed. Today's episode, it's also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays, they move fast. One big play, and everything feels different suddenly. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets live as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, and every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. You see a receiver get hot, a defense tighten up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. And FanDuel lets you jump straight into that moment. Player props update as guys heat up as well. Plus, there's all NBA stuff you can look at on there as well. In fact, we can go and have a look at the odds for the NBA Cup with the Oklahoma City Thunder, surprisingly, minus 130, while the next team is the Lakers at plus 550. So if you want to have a bet on who you think is going to win the NBA Cup, you can do that over on FanDuel as well. Plus, live betting in games on the NFL and on NBA. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, go to FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Now we get into more of this recap action as the Oklahoma City Thunder had to face off against the only team that's beaten them this season, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Thunder got it. 123-115. It was relatively close in this one, closer than a lot of their other games. The Thunder went in with an unchanged lineup, but that doesn't mean that there weren't things that were a little bit different in this game from what we'd seen in the previous game, because we had no Isaiah Hartenstein, obviously, but also no Alex Caruso. So when you look at this and go, AJ Mitchell played 29 minutes. He had 17, 5, and 5 with a steal. Now, he got injured last game, by the way, and he'd been playing only 23 minutes a night. But having Hartenstein and Caruso out meant that Mitchell's value went back up. We also saw Wiggins available to play in this game. And the Hong Kong mattress, Cason Wallace, played only 21 minutes. I don't think, and again, who knows, but over the last 2 weeks, AJ Mitchell is not a top 150 player. And eventually you're going to get Hartenstein in, and Caruso might play the next game. And while this is a very good game, and he was a part of the closing lineup here, Mitchell, there are two other guys who would probably close ahead of him, Caruso and Hartenstein, who did not play. And in order to get the value that Mitchell did, he had to play the final 16 minutes of the game, which again, because he was good, he played well. I'm not hating on AJ Mitchell. I just think the path to get solid must-roster 12-team value is really difficult to get to. Chet had 19 and 9 with 3 blocks. The Bronco, Jalen Williams, had 17, 8 and 5, also with 3 blocks, but he shot poorly. And Shea had 26 and 4. Didn't get a single 3-pointer in this one, but he did have 83% from the line on 12 attempts. Isaiah Joe only played 15 minutes. Please, for the love of God, don't hold on to him in 12-team leagues.
Get that garbage out of here.
He had 15 with 3 threes. And then as for Wallace, 3 points in 21 minutes. He had 4 assists and a block. And a steal. The steal's fine. I don't think you need to roster Cason Wallace. I've been saying this for a long time. I like Cason a lot. And maybe the argument is that AJ Mitchell just plays 30 minutes and Wallace plays 20. Maybe. I don't know that they do that. But I think they're just going to sort of cannibalize each other. He's a steals guy, Wallace. That's it. Nothing more at this point. Aaron Wiggins came back. He played 20 minutes. He was one of the most added players for, again, I don't know what reason. He had 5 points with 4 assists in 20 minutes. I'm going to guess he's going to appear as one of the most drop players. And then Pig Williams had 4 and 6 with 1 steal and 2 blocks. So the 6 rebounds, the 2 blocks are good from Jalen Williams. But I would have hoped with Hartenstein out, he could play a little bit more. That's a little bit deflating, although the opponent just went small. So that's possibly a reason why we weren't able to get as much Jalen Williams. He's probably still more of a deeper league guy than a standard league player. For the Blazers, Donovan Clingan was out, but it didn't mean that Rob Williams started. It didn't mean that Dwop Reith started. It didn't mean that Young Hun Sen started. It meant that Chris Murray started with Jeremy Grant playing at center. As for Murray, he had 13 and 6 with 2 threes. That's fine. Probably one of his better games, to be honest, but I don't think we need to react to it too much. While Grant had 18 with 4 threes and 3 blocks. Getting 3 blocks out of Jeremy Grant is diabolical work. You don't get that really ever. So a nice performance from him, and he has really beaten my expectations easily this season. Denny Avdija was awesome. 31, 19, and 10. He played, I guess, I know the Denny stands will be out here telling me, he actually wasn't the center. He wasn't the center. He did have 19 rebounds, though, and also took 23 free throw attempts. So it is an outlier game for many reasons. Still awesome. Well, Tamani Kamara, yes, he struggled. He played 38 minutes. He had 19, 8, and 4 with 5 threes. All right, that's good. I believe he's a must-roster player in 12-team category leagues. Points, very different story. Category leagues, I think you should do it. And I know you're going to be frustrated if you got Shaedon Sharpe as he comes back from this second calf strain. 7 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Played 22 minutes. They're really ramping his minutes up slowly. I would not drop him. I'm frustrated with it. But I don't think this is like your new role of 20 minutes a night. Like where I look at Jaden Ivey and I go, it might be. Because I look at Chris Murray and CD Sissoko starting ahead of him. And I don't go, they're real dangers to him. Now you can say that Jeremy Grant might continue to start. You can say that Scoot Henderson might eventually take this spot over. Drew Holiday's still got to come back. But yeah, look, Shaedon is going to be okay. He's going to be annoying with sometimes his lack of peripheral stats and inefficiency. But the role of 21 minutes for him is not a realistic thing. Robbie Williams played 19 off the bench. He had 7 and 9, a steal and a block. If you streamed him in, you love it. Those are good numbers. If you streamed him in expecting him to be a starter, you're disappointed. And what I think this also shows you is maybe he just can't be pushed past 20 minutes because there was an obvious opportunity for him to play more and he didn't. So maybe that's the reason. Now we can get in and talk about the next game as the Minnesota Timberwolves pull off a really good win over the San Antonio Spurs. 125-112 is the final score. The Spurs still without Castle, still without Wembanyama, going with the same starting lineup. We talked about how Keldon Johnson probably needs, he's been struggling a little bit, and I thought he was a drop. I still think he can be, but he had a really good game. 22-8 with 2 steals and 2 threes. But it is abundantly clear what happens with Keldon. He just needs the shots to go in at an extremely high level, and then you could. But how do you know when that's going to happen? 62% from the field for Keldon to get 22 points. Cool. Cornette had 6 and 4 with 2 steals and a block. That's usable. I wouldn't say he's an absolute must, but it's usable. And De'Aaron Fox had 25 with 4 assists. What we want to talk about here is a couple of things. Well, let's talk about Vassell quickly. 22 points, 2 steals. Just ride him while these guys are in, and then while they're out, assess it later on. What about Dylan Harper? 17 points looks good. 67% shooting is awesome. But how in the Tony Snell do you have 0 threes, 0 rebounds, 0 assists? He had 1 steal, and he played still 20 minutes. And like I said, while he might, I've said before, not today, while he might ramp up the minutes coming off the calf injury, Castle's got to come back. So while we all like Dylan Harper, I think most of us do, I don't clearly see how he's getting 27 and being a top 120 player. I don't know how that's happening. Meaning, I don't think you have to hold him. You can, but you don't have to. You definitely do not have to hold on to the pencil Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! I'm really grateful and thankful for Barnes being around because it's just one of those things that happens every year. Barnes will have a 4 or 5 game run where he'll score 20 points a game on 70% shooting, and it'll be like, all right, everyone, let's get on the Barnes train. And then it turns into 5 points in 22% shooting with 5 rebounds, no assists. You go, what am I doing? He'll have that run, finding the run, staying on it for 4 games, do it. But you absolutely do not have to be rostering him. Get him off your team. Julian Champagny had 5 points. He'd put together some really strong games. This was not one of them. He's still okay to use and to stream, but obviously, to me, there's no sort of long-term appeal coming his way. On the other side of the game, it was the Minnesota side. And they, as seems to always be the case with them, were pretty healthy. No real injuries to worry about. Goose had 32 points with 6 assists, Anthony Edwards, and shot unbelievably well. And the double royal, Julius Randle, who had been struggling, put together a good game too. 22, 6, and 12. What we also saw is Rudy Gobert played 24 minutes. You say, why, Josh? Foul trouble, injury? No. They were just down big. They went with Naz Reid. They came back. Gobert didn't come back in. Don't worry too much. Gobert's not losing his spot, but that's what happened. 15 and 6 with 3 threes for Naz Reid in his 30 minutes as he got the bump. DiVincenzo had 18, 4 and 4 with 4 threes. And we also saw the fact that we saw earlier in the year that Jaden McDaniels was really stepping it up because we know what he was doing. He was doing the thing. Anthony Edwards was out. His usage went up. His minutes went up. And his efficiency went through the roof. Making him look a lot better than he is. I don't think you should drop Jaden McDaniels, but the efficiency is back down. The usage is back down because Ant and Randall are both playing. If someone goes out, McDaniels will do more. I'm confident in his ramp-up abilities these days. But as a regular guy, he's just a back-end sort of a player and not any sort of absolute must-roster guy that's just got to be sitting there because, it's going to turn around again. I think it's very dependent on the absence of one person, at least, out of that starting group for him to deliver the goods that we need. Let's move ourselves onto the final couple of games of the day. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Sacramento Kings. The Grizzlies win at 115-107. Memphis goes in with the same starting group. Let's talk about Zach Edey. 29 minutes only. But, who cares? 32 and 17 with 5 blocks. Bro. You know that I talked very highly about Edey in the preseason, but the way that we're getting these numbers now, I didn't even think we'd get this high. We're talking about a top 30 player now. I was saying top 30. Sorry, that's not true. I said top 60. Yeah, bro is cooking. And just make sure, because he's sitting at over 50% available on Yahoo. Just make sure that no idiots have left him there. Cam Spencer had 16 with 4 threes. He's providing really good value. And Vince Williams offensively is struggling. Now he's giving us a lot of assists, but he's Isaiah Collier maxing. 0 of 8 from the field for 2 points with 7 assists. That's probably not enough, honestly, to hold. And I'll tell you what else is not enough, and I reckon I'm at my final straw here. The chicken. Cedric Coward.
Get that garbage out of here!
10 points, 7 rebounds. You'll be shocked to know, no steals, no blocks, bad field goals, bad free throws. What does he do? Like, I know he had a really good run to begin the year. It's bad. He's outside the top 200 over the last 2 weeks. The minutes are fine. He's doing nothing. I think you can drop him. Jaren Jackson also continues to really struggle. 13, 6, and 5. He did play 34 minutes, but no blocks and really low usage. And Jalen Wells, who'd had a really, really strong run of games and he shot well, which is great, 80%. He took 5 shots. He had 15 points. He had 3 rebounds. He's got something there. There's something at the moment just spiking a little bit. I don't think it's a must, though, for 12-teamers. As for the Jaren thing, you shouldn't consider dropping him, but you can be frustrated. That's okay. On the Kings side of things, they are still dealing with the absences of Sabonis and no Dennis Schroeder. DeMar DeRozan was pretty good. Took 23 points, 3 threes, 3 steals, shot well, 53%, 17 attempts. Really good game from DeRozan, who had fallen off and has really come back with a strong run here, while Keegan Murray has also been awesome. The offensive part of it, this was more in line with where I was with him. 12 shots on 42%. Now, I do expect him to shoot a little bit better. He was bad at the line, but this sort of level of usage was more of my concern. But what was great is he had 5 steals and 3 blocks. Yeah. That's just elite defensive stuff. Love to see it. I still don't really know where it's all going to settle in with Keegan, but it's been a great run. Levine continues to disappoint us, 19, 3, and 3, while Westbrook finally hit a shot. He had 10% shooting for 3 points. He had 7 assists and 2 steals. It's getting to the stage where in category leagues, when Schroeder's back, I don't know that you need to hold on to Westbrook. Monk was good, 21, 6, and 6, 2 blocks, but he is benefiting from the absence of from Schroeder too. I just want to talk about the centers, because it was another game where Maxime Reynaud looks like he is the guy to have. But the problem you have here is the haters and the fakers in the coaching staff, they just won't commit to him. We got 24 minutes from Presta Chua, 11 and 7. Cool, sick, well done. Drew Eubanks had 4 points in his 15 minutes. Unbelievable stuff. Just start Reynaud. You're terrible anyway. These other guys are bad. I don't really get it. If I'm in a deeper format, I'm adding Reynaud. If I'm in a 12-teamer, I'm probably not, especially with only 2 games this week for upcoming week 7. But I think he's going to be the guy while Sabonis is out. Eventually. I just hope they don't take too long to get there. Keon Ellis played 6 minutes. He was, I think it was a +8 in that time and never returned. I honestly have no idea why the way they're managing him or the roster construction, none of this team makes any sense. They continue to make no sense. And Doug Christie, once again, the hater is still here. Still here. And now we can do the final game of the night, the Pelicans and the Lakers. There was no Zion. It was the second half of a back-to-back. So, given the fact that Herb Jones was out already, they started Derek Queen and Yves Missi together. They lost 133-121, and yet again, Queen had the worst plus-minus in the game. And again, single game plus-minus is pretty dirty, it's pretty noisy, it's pretty messy. But when you are the worst plus-minus on the team almost every game, it starts to become a problem. And the on-off splits for Queen have turned pretty nastily negative as well. And it's just not going well. The game overall is not bad. The fantasy line is fine. 15, 7, and 3 with the steal is all right. You would hope that he shoots a little bit better, but 88 from the line is awesome. 33 from the field is not. There's just too many concerns here. I am holding. Barely. It's not looking good though. When Herb comes back, when Zion comes back, even Makovich when he's available, or Poole, what is going to happen to him? I'm very worried about where this goes. The depressed penis just double-doubles again. Maybe he's just good now. I really don't believe that. I think it's mainly that everyone is out, but he's playing incredibly well, and you can use him for now. 69% shooting for Bay, 22 and 11. And then we got Jeremiah Fears with a much better game. Now, he has struggled with peripheral stats for periods of time, but I love these field goals and free throws in this one. And he had 21 points with a steal and 3 assists. Bryce McGowan's also put up a good game, 23, 7, and 5 for him, given those players out. And Peavy off the bench had a pretty solid game. I don't think we need to do much with them, much like I don't think you do anything with Missi, as I have said over and over and over again, because he is not good. 2 points and 6 rebounds on 20% shooting for Missi. Absolutely is not a 12-team league guy. Just isn't. Don't care. Won't be debated on it. I mean, I will be debated on it, and my response will be, you're wrong. But you can keep debating. And my response will continue to be, you're wrong. He's just not a 12-team league guy. He's not good. And sure, whatever. He's a nice backup big man. Who, again, makes no sense when you are trying to pair them with Zion Williamson. What else happened in this game? Not a lot, to be honest. We got 21 minutes out of my man, Trey Alexander, who had 7 points with 3 assists. He was an undrafted guy that I liked last year and just absolutely nothing. Hasn't really had many opportunities this season, and I'm not really sure he's going to get there. But it was just good to see him get some playing time, I guess. On to the Lakers side of this game. No LeBron. He was resting in the front half of a back-to-back. They're calling it foot injury management, so not sciatica, so I don't know. And then late in the game, Deandre Ayton got a bit of a knock on his knee once again, and then didn't return. He had 22 and 12 with 4 blocks, Ayton, which is obviously great. If he is out, Jackson Hayes is going to be your ad. Ayton, despite a lot of the criticism around him, has been basically bang on what you thought he was going to be this season, and even better of late. Austin Reeves was great, 33, 5 and 8. He's just like a legitimate star-level player. Now, the shooting at 60% won't hold there, obviously, but he's ridiculously good. And Doncic had 34, 12 and 7. Not a lot else. The guy that started in place of LeBron and with Marcus Smart out was Gabe Vincent. Not sure why he wouldn't go to LaRavia, but Vincent had 6 points and 4 assists. LaRavia had 10, 5 and 2. You're not rostering either of these guys. While the big fella, the Npitsu, Rui Hachimura, he had 14, 2 and 0 with bad field goals and no free throw attempts. We're out here jacking pencils.
Get that garbage out of here.
Double pencil jack day today. And those are the games. Let's take a look at the monstrous lines of the night before I go and recap my leagues. Your monstrous has to go to, and he's the same guy as the young gun of the night, because Zach Edey was ridiculous, 32 and 17 with 5 blocks. His box scores seem to be different in every game across different sites. I have no idea what's going on with the tracking of his stats, so just be aware that things might be different. The waiver wire line of the night is Steve O. Adams, 13 and 12. He had a steal and a block. Don't know that he plays tomorrow. He's a stream guy for big man stats, but if you streamed him today, I reckon you'd be pretty happy. You know who the young gun is. It's Zach Edey. We just talked about that. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to be shocked to know who the who the dud of the night is, as Keyonte George went about and put together one of the worst performances you'll ever see. Yes, he was sick, and we give him a bit of a pass. 0 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists and 8 turnovers. Just an absolute dreadful game in 19 minutes. How you get 8 turnovers in 19 minutes? I got no idea, but he did it. So shout out to him, I guess. Go. Now we can go in and have a look at the results from my leagues, and let's see how we go. All right, let's go on to 30 deep and see where I am with that one. So 2 matchups a week on this. So I was against David Kleiss. I beat him 6-3. That's a W. And the other one was against Benny Aziz, and I beat him 5-4. All right, we are cooking. We're at the top of the standings in this one. So I'm happy with how that is looking. Now, let me go and have a look at my Yahoo League. I was against Kingy in that league this week. So how did I go? Oh, he beat me 4-5, Kingy. Whew, that's annoying. Now we will go and have a look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl in my Fantrax leagues. We'll go to industry pickup first, and I was up against Raf Johnson of RotoWorld. Oh, he killed me. 7-2. What happened there? 7-2. What happened to my games played? I only had 35 games played this week. Yeah, that's rough. I was 5 games less in a Games Cup league. What's happened to my team there? I must have had a bunch of injuries that I didn't notice. All right, that's bad. Let's take a look at my best ball league. The points best ball. Obviously, I'm not managing lineups here. We have 2 matchups per week. How did I go? Cooked in the first one. Cooked in the second one. That is a W. I think this team is pretty good in this league. Let's now go to my Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl points league, where we have a matchup against the median score plus against an opponent each week. How did we go here? The median was, bloody hell, that was high, 1263, but I beat it, 1380, W, and I won my matchup as well. That's a W, another 2 wins in that one. Going all right there. The Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl 9-cat Mo Sislak division. 2 matchups in a head-to-head 9-cat league per week. Identical 5-3-1s. There you go, 5-3-1 and 5-3-1. And the last one is the Homer Simpson Bowl 9-cat league. Again, multiple matchups per week. How did I go in those ones? Oh, yuck. A 1-8 loss. Yuck. Against DMAC. Yeah, he's on top of the division, I'm pretty sure. And then I at least was able to salvage something with a 5-4 victory in the other one. That is the recap for all of the action on Sunday in the NBA to end week 6. I am just going to quickly sneak across and make sure that there is no sort of breaking news that I've missed here at the end of the day. No, I see nothing else that has happened, and that means in the meantime, you can just thumb up the video, subscribe, double bang, leave your comments. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.